Honored guests, welcome to the 250th commemoration of the Battle of Bunker Hill. We ask that those who are able to please rise for the presentation of colors in our national anthem. Please be seated, folks. We would like to welcome Colonel Paul Barnett, Chaplain of the Massachusetts Army National Guard.
Let us bow our heads as we lift our voices. Awesome and amazing God, we the people, gather together today on this sacred hill to remember and to honor the bravery, the sacrifice, and the enduring spirit of those who stood fierce, those who stood firm, and those who stood faithful at the blood-stained battle of Bunker Hill. And it is here, then, in the power of this place, when courage was tested and freedom's torch was kindled. And it is here, now, in the power of this place, where we stand, united, many voices, one purpose. Today, we give you thanks for those super soldiers, those mighty militiamen, those wonderful warriors whose determination and devotion laid the foundation for this nation's liberty and justice. Their lasting legacy is a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the unyielding pursuit of freedom and equality for all. We thank you for their courageous commitment, devoted duty, and passionate patriotism, echoes of which still resound in the hearts of every citizen today. Lord, as we stand in the shadow of this mighty, magnificent monument rising high into the sky like Lady Liberty herself, may we remember that the Battle of Bunker Hill was the mighty match that lit freedom's torch, blazing a trail, calling us to action toward our national promise, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. Lord, bless this 250th year celebration ceremony and ignite in us the torch to live out a lasting legacy of love. Love for you, love for our country, and love for each other. May the three triumphant pillars, we the people, the power of place, and the call to action, resonate within our hearts and amplified through our lives as we move forward, united in the power of your presence and the very presence of your power. We ask this in your guiding, providing, protecting name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Barnett. Good afternoon. My name is Simone Monteleone. I am the Acting Superintendent of the National Parks of Boston. And on behalf of the National Park Service, I would like to welcome and thank all of you for joining us here today. I would also like to acknowledge our partners, the American Legion, J.W. Conway, Bunker Hill Post 26, and the Bunker Hill Monument Association. We thank you for your partnership and commitment to telling our shared national story. I also send a grateful welcome to the many descendants of those who fought at Bunker Hill in the Revolutionary War who are with us today. Thank you to our elected officials, our special guests, as well as our other 250th anniversary partners. Thank you all for your support. As stewards of our nation's natural and cultural heritage, the National Park Service is committed to preserving the sites that define who we are as a nation and telling the stories of all who are connected to these places. At the National Parks of Boston, we have the profound honor to preserve and interpret many sites and stories of the American Revolution and beyond, from across the Boston Harbor Islands, along the Freedom Trail and the Black Heritage Trail. Here at Bunker Hill, we proudly preserve and share the rich history of what happened on this battlefield 250 years ago and the sacrifices that were made in the fight for freedom and liberty. On that fateful and consequential day, a mere 2 months after the shot heard round the world was fired on the battlefield of Lexington and Concord, a diverse coalition of New Englanders faced British armed forces as rebellion erupted into open war. Settlers of English and Irish descent, men of African descent, both freeborn and enslaved, and indigenous allies joined together in a common cause, each one of them driven by their own hopes, dreams, and aspirations, sought and fought for their personal ideals of liberty, justice, and duty. Throughout the Revolutionary War and beyond, what happened here at Bunker Hill served as a powerful inspiration and symbol of American commitment to liberty. Their service and sacrifice that day consecrated the very ground that we are all now gathered upon, and serves as a reminder that the cause for freedom continues in the work that we do currently today as Americans. Similarly, the Bunker Hill Monument, dedicated in 1843, has stood as a powerful icon of Boston's landscape and as a compelling reminder of its revolutionary history. Erected to honor those who fought and died for their ideals of liberty on this battlefield, the monument continues to serve us all as an inspiration to do better, be better, and to never forget their sacrifices through the integrity of our own actions. Today, on the 250th anniversary of this battle, let us renew our commitment to forever honor their legacy and rededicate ourselves to the ideals of liberty and justice that they fought and died for 250 years ago. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Wu, Mayor of the City of Boston.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. Thank you for all that you do and for all of your colleagues' leadership and work at the National Park Service. And thank you to everyone for being here today. I am honored to appear alongside these distinguished guests. Hello, Governor and Representative, and to all of the General and to all of the leaders up here who are serving our country, have served our country, and are taking care of our neighborhood. We spent a lot of time together the last couple of days and weeks preparing for this big moment, and today the official commemoration is an incredible honor to be here. Congratulations. I see the chairman of the parade committee. We had a great day on Sunday. Thank you, Mr. Hurley. Chief Marshal is in the house as well, and thank you to everyone. I'm so grateful to the Bunker Hill Monument Association, to Annette Tecci for your leadership as president, and to all the members for your unflagging stewardship of our nation's longest running commemoration. We are going to be hearing from best-selling author and decorated historian Nathaniel Philbrick shortly, so I'm not going to pretend that I can offer anything in terms of the history that won't be more eloquently said by him and more dazzling. So I just want to keep it a little bit personal. And as you can see, she's sound asleep already. And for me, this moment, in many ways, is about family and the fight that we each have within us to do the right thing for the people we love most, the people we will put our whole lives toward taking care of, and the people that we are going to fight to make sure there's a world to pass on to. Every day in the last 5 months since our beautiful third child entered into the world has been a constant reminder of what's at stake. What kind of world will she and all of our kids grow up in? What are the daily joys or challenges or experiences that she'll have to face as she's walking around the streets of Boston every morning as she's getting up and going to work? These are questions that I won't necessarily know the answer to in many decades into the future, but I'm focused on what's right in front of me in this moment. As a mom, you're constantly worrying about, is she hungry? What's to do next? Is it diaper time? This and that and the other. When's the sleep coming? And all that. How are we setting up our young people to have the best possible lives in this moment, but also into the future? And what strikes me about this battle, about this moment in our history, is that 250 years ago today, regular, everyday people with no military training, farmers, shopkeepers, doctors, fathers and uncles, brothers, neighbors, cousins, asked themselves the same question. What would it take in this moment to do the best that I possibly could to love my community, to take care of the people who are most important to me in my life? 250 years ago, right here, they gave their answer, knowing that they were up against unthinkable odds, knowing that they might not live to see the impact of their actions. They took up arms and laid down their lives to fight for a future in which their children could be free. And sometimes, living in Massachusetts, living in Boston, the cradle of liberty, it's easy to forget that there were actually 12 other colonies all suffering under the same oppressive rule. 12 other colonies with their own industries and cities and towns and community members, their own leaders, their own grievances against the crown. But it was the people of this city, our city who stepped up to act. It was the people of Boston and of Charlestown who spoke out against the injustices that they saw with their own eyes and decided to take up that task of building a better future with their own hands. And every year, we come back here to this spot to celebrate the history, not because of what it says about who we were, but because of what it says about who we are and who we continue to be. We celebrate this history because the people of Charlestown and the people of Boston continue to wake up every day and make a choice to never allow our history to become something that just sits on a shelf collecting dust. Here in Boston, our history has always been our guide, has always been the truest glimpse of who we are, what we believe, and what we believe is worth fighting for. 250 years later, we have our fair share of big, looming questions about what the future will hold. We face some serious odds, and we may not live to see the impact of our actions. But what we do know is that we will continue to give whatever it takes to provide the best possible shot at the lives our families deserve. We will never stop fighting for the people we love and the place we call home. And Charlestown has continued to lead by example. So I want to thank everyone here today, the descendants of those who fought in this battle, the veterans, military families, Gold Star families, for continuing to be our source of inspiration and our strength. May we never forget who we are and what we can do together. Happy Bunker Hill Day.
Please welcome to the stage Annette Tecci, President of the Bunker Hill Monument Association.
What a wonderful day. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, and fellow citizens, the power of place, the enduring relevance of the Bunker Hill Monument. We gather today at a place that is more than a landmark of granite and mortar. We gather today at a place that stands as a powerful reminder of who we were and who we still strive to be. The Bunker Hill Monument, it is a place where memory lives in stone, where sacrifice is embedded in the soil, and where the echoes of courage speak to each new generation. This is the power of place, the ability of a physical space to connect us across centuries. Though the battle that took place here fought long ago, its meaning has only deepened with time. At this first glance, the monument may appear austere, a towering relic of a distant past. But to those who look more closely, it is a living symbol. It represents resilience in the face of hardship, the cost of conflict, and the enduring necessity of peace. It reminds us not only of patriots who stood against tyranny, but also of the consequences when we fail to uphold the values they fought for: liberty, unity, and justice. The monument grounds us in an era where speed and convenience often overshadow reflection and responsibility. Places like this ask us to pause. They remind us that democracy is not self-sustaining. Peace is not guaranteed. These ideals demand our attention, our care, and our action. Over the years, this site has transformed, expanded to include a museum, a lodge where education, dialogue, and reflection continue to thrive. It is no longer just a marker of a past struggle. It is a beacon of learning and transformation. This too is the power of place, to evolve, to inspire, and to call us forward with purpose. And so, as we honor this sacred ground, we are fortunate to be joined by someone whose work gives voice and vivid color to the past. Nathaniel Philbrick is a distinguished historian and author whose storytelling telling us reminds us that history is not distant. It is deeply human and ever, ever relevant. Through works like Bunker Hill, a city, a siege, a revolution, he brings to life the people and the places that shape our country's beginning. His insights help us understand not only what happens here and what happened here, but why it matters still. Please join me in welcoming Nathaniel Philbrick.
John Quincy Adams never forgot the afternoon of June 17, 1775. He was just 7 years old when he stood with his mother Abigail on a rise of land near the family home in Braintree and watched the Battle of Bunker Hill. In the distance, more than 10 miles away, Charlestown was a raging inferno as more than half a dozen British warships fired their cannons at the ragged line of provincial soldiers dug in across the width of Charlestown Peninsula. I saw with my own eyes those fires, he later remembered, and heard Britannia's thunders in the Battle of Bunker's Hill, and witnessed the tears of my mother and mingled with them my own. They feared, he recounted, that the British troops might at any moment march out of Boston and butcher them in cold blood, or take them as hostages and drag them back into the besieged city. But what he remembered most about the battle was the hopeless sense of sorrow that he and his mother felt when they learned that their family physician, Dr. Joseph Warren, had been killed. Warren, president of the Massachusetts Provincial Congress, had been recently made a major general, and his loss was keenly felt by every patriot in Massachusetts and beyond. Abigail Adams wrote her husband John, then 300 miles away at the Continental Congress in Philadelphia, "We want him in the Senate. We want him in his profession. We want him in the field. We mourn for the citizen, the senator, the physician, and the warrior." But her son had other reasons for mourning the doctor's loss. Only recently, Warren had saved John Quincy Adams' badly fractured forefinger from amputation, and the death of this beloved physician was a terrible blow to a boy whose father's mounting responsibilities required that he spend months away from home. Even after he had grown into adulthood and become a public figure, John Quincy refused to attend all anniversary celebrations of the Battle of Bunker Hill. Still, one might have thought that 68 years later, when an enormous crowd gathered at this very spot to celebrate the completion of the new 221-foot-high granite obelisk that towers above us today, he might have finally relented and joined in on the festivities. By then, he was a 75-year-old member of the U.S. House of Representatives, who also happened to have been the 6th President of the United States. But he stubbornly did as he'd always done. He spent the day at his home in the section of Braintree now known as Quincy, visiting his seedling trees and attending to his correspondence. Part of Adams' problem in 1843 was that he was frustrated by the reluctance of most political leaders of the time, including Daniel Webster and President Tyler, who were both in attendance that day, to join him in actively opposing slavery. But that did not prevent him from stealing a glimpse of the new monument from his son's porch, where he could see its pyramid-shaped top rising out of the smoke that wafted from the cannonade salute of the closing day. Then came, he recorded in his diary, in forceful impulse to my memory, the cannonade and smoke in the fire of the 17th of June, 1775. John Quincy Adams may have refused to attend the dedication of the Bunker Hill Monument, but he still managed to memorialize that historic battle in his own defiantly personal way. And so today, on the 250th anniversary of the Battle of Bunker Hill, let us celebrate not only those who fought and died here, but also those like John Quincy Adams, who realized that the work of the Revolution must be continued with each succeeding generation until all Americans are forever free. Thank you. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce Boston's Poet Laureate, Emmanuel Opunyeboa. Emmanuel.
Hello. Yeah, what a momentous day. All right, so I'm going to be reading for you of History and Hope by Miller Williams. This is kind of a significant poem in American history in a lot of ways. It was read at the second inauguration of Bill Clinton. And I think it gets at a lot of themes, particularly around America as an unfinished project, as a project that we're all sort of embedded and working on to bring us closer to a more perfect union. So here's the poem of History and Hope. We have memorized America, how it was born and who we have been and where. In ceremonies and silence, we say the words, telling the stories, singing the old songs. We like the places they take us. Mostly we do. The great and all the anonymous dead are there. We know the sounds of all the sounds we brought, the rich tastes of it on all our tongues, but where are we going and why and who? The disenfranchised dead want to know. We mean to be the people we meant to be, to keep on going where we meant to go, but how do we fashion the future? Who can say how, except in the minds of those who will call it now? The children, and how does our garden grow? With waving hands, oh rarely in a row, and flowering faces and brambles that we can no longer allow. Who were many people coming together cannot become one people falling apart. Who dreamed for every child an even chance, cannot let tuck alone turn doorknobs or not, whose law was never so much of the hand as the head, cannot let chaos make its way to the heart. Who have seen learning struggle from teacher to child, cannot let ignorance spread itself like rot. We know that we have done and what we have said, and how we have grown degree by slow degree, believing ourselves towards all we have tried to become, just and compassionate, equal, able, and free. All this in the hands of children, eyes already set on a land we can never visit. It isn't there yet, but looking through their eyes, we can see what our long gift to them may come to be. If we can truly remember, they will not forget. Thank you. And next coming up to the stage is Kenneth Davison, counselor of the Mohegan Tribe of Connecticut and officer of the U.S. Army Reserve and Connecticut National Guard.
Good afternoon. I'm Mohegan Tribal Counselor Ken Davison. As a veteran of the U.S. Army Reserve and Connecticut National Guard, I bring greetings from our military veterans of the Mohegan Tribe of Indians of Connecticut. On their behalf, I am here today to honor Samuel Ashbo Jr., the first Native American to die for this new nation as an ally at Bunker Hill on this day 250 years ago. I'm here today not only in my capacity as a tribal counselor and a veteran, but also as the son of the late Mohegan archivist, Faith Davison, who uncovered the research showing that young Mohegan warrior Samuel Ashbo Jr. was indeed the first soldier of his people to make the ultimate sacrifice for America. 3 of Samuel's brothers also perished in the war, and his pregnant wife and young son died after the war. The Mohegan tribe is your New England neighbor, located along the Thames River, also known as the Massapequa in southeastern Connecticut. For Mohegans, the American Revolutionary War was not a win, despite the tribe's long-standing alliance with the colonists, first initiated by the legendary Chief Uncas in the early 1600s. In the 1700s, America's war for independence from England resulted in a generation of tribal families being nearly wiped out. Native American rights and freedoms were suppressed by the new nation's leaders who disallowed our indigenous American language, clothing, religion, and pre-existing tribal gender equality. For Mohegan lands and the Massapequa or Thames River, the 1700s began an ecological devastation that continues. I wish to thank the National Park Foundation and National Park Service for supporting the creation of a short film about this war's impact on the Mohegans, titled Up and Down the River, written, directed, and acted in by Mohegans and members of other tribes, including Massachusetts' own Wampanoag Nation. I hope you'll have the chance to watch it. The film includes the stories of Chief Ann Uncas, a Mohegan woman around 1730, who was kidnapped and forced to marry her cousin by Connecticut Governor Talcott so the colony could authorize him to rule in her stead due to what were known as civilizing measures that disallowed women leaders. This film speaks to the centuries-long efforts of Mohegans to regain rights and freedoms of speech, expression, religion, and gender equality. This Mohegan journey experienced a milestone in 2010 with the tribe's appointment of our first woman chief in 200 years, Sachem Mutawi Mutahash, also known as Dr. Lynn Malerba. Then, in 2022, Chief Malerba was appointed by President Biden to serve as the first Native American treasurer of the United States of America. The American Revolution's ideals have always been a work in progress. Here, on the 250th anniversary of Bunker Hill, Mohegans thank and honor all those who fought, often not for immediate gratifications of enhanced rights and freedoms, but for the hope of a better tomorrow. I wish everyone here the fulfillment of those freedoms. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage Representative Daniel J. Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you all. It's an honor to be here before you on the 250th anniversary of the Great Battle of Bunker Hill. I want to thank the Bunker Hill Monument Association, Annette. Thank you. National Park Service for all you do in telling our neighborhood story to the rest of the world. Thank you. And American Legion, Commander Dan Noonan, who will be up here shortly. Also, thank you for bringing this together. And all of our program participants for continuing this time-honored tradition and just bringing it to a bigger stage this year. I also give these remarks on behalf of 2 of my local colleagues here that represent Charlestown with me, Senator Sal DiDomenico, Gabriella Coletta. I also see, Zapata, also Coletta Zapata, sorry. And I also see President of the City Council, Ruthie Louisiane there. Thank you. We work as a team, so I'm speaking for all of us, and you should thank them because of their gracious humility. You got 8 extra minutes to your afternoon today, so that's worth voting for right there. Mayor Wu, thank you for a tremendous week. Thank you for all you did to bring these events to our neighborhood, but also the clean streets, the safe streets, so that we could share our neighborhood with the rest of the country and the rest of the world. Thank you. Congresswoman Presley, thank you for all you do for us in Washington, D.C. We really appreciate the work you do. It's not easy down there in the swamp. And they copied our monument, too. But thank you. I didn't have that written down. General Rizzo, welcome home. As elected officials in this experiment that we call representative democracy, it's not lost on us. We know that for us to represent our neighborhoods, our families, our friends in the halls of government, it's only done because of the blanket of protection provided by the men and women in uniform around the globe. Thank you. Charlestown couldn't be more proud to call you a native son. And speaking of representative democracy and welcomes homes, it is my great honor, a privilege, to do this next introduction. That's what I'm really up here for. I'm going to introduce somebody who has walked our streets, shopped in our stores, and given out Halloween candy to our children when she lived here in Charlestown. What better example of democracy can that be? And she lived on Winthrop Street, named after another governor, John Winthrop, who called Boston a shining city upon a hill, which we are and we will continue to be, a beacon of light for the rest of the world. So those early founders, or the early Puritans, and then our founding generation, probably didn't envision a Governor Haley or a mommy mayor. Yeah, actually, Abigail Adams probably did, right? So Abigail Adams, she saw that one coming. Yeah. But they did envision local control over local affairs, not appointed governors from overseas. And that's what we're here to celebrate here today. We commemorate the men who fought here, and we celebrate the government that come out of the ashes of Charlestown in the battle. And without further ado, I want to welcome our former floor general when she was in college, attorney general when she lived here in Charlestown, now our governor, Maura Healey.
Well, good afternoon, Charlestown. Thank you, Representative Ryan, for that introduction and for your energized and passionate devotion to this great neighborhood and its people. I too want to thank Superintendent Monteleone and members of the National Park Service. We're so lucky here in Massachusetts to have so many wonderful national parks, and especially the number that we have right here in Charlestown. And thank you, men and women of the NPS, for what you do day in and day out, for your, it is important. Those who look after with love and patriotism the stewardship of our national parks on this site and so many others, so that generations to come learn and understand the history. Thank you to Annette Annette Tecci and members of the Bunker Hill Monument Association, to Nathaniel Philbrick for sharing your words with us today. I'm thinking about John Quincy Adams as a little 7-year-old, and I appreciate that image. I'm sorry he didn't get over it to partake in the celebrations of this great monument. Nevertheless, to my colleagues in government, thank you for your service and for all you do. Mayor Wu, appreciate you, and all you do for the city of Boston, Massachusetts. I put her daughter to sleep. She's really out. Council President Lucien, Councilor Zapata, our Senator, Sal DiDomenico, Senator Lydia Edwards, thank you for all that you do. I was very touched as well to hear words from our friends, the Mohegans. Thank you, Councilor Davison, for your presence here today. Thank you to Congresswoman Presley for all that you do for all of us. Thank you to our friends from across the pond. We've come a long way in 250 years, so welcome to Consul General Clay and all of our friends from the British Consul General's office. We thank you for being here. And General, where are you? And General Rizzo, it's a true honor to have a son of Massachusetts in command at Camp Lejeune and to have you back here today. To all the service members who are with us and veterans, the true heirs of our revolutionary heroes and past. I also want to acknowledge our own Secretary of the Department of Veterans Services, John Santiago, who's here with us as well. And all of our veterans from the Conway Bunker Hill Post and beyond, whatever branch you served in, wherever you call home, thank you. Thank you also to the generations of Charlestown individuals and organizations who have cared for this site over the years, and it looks especially glorious today. Now, it may not surprise you to hear me as your governor say that what this is all about is Massachusetts 250. Next year, the nation will be celebrating 250 years. But we know it all started here a little early. Because we went first. And 250 years ago, to the day, to the hour, to the minute, Bunker Hill was the battle that left no doubt. The people of Massachusetts were willing to put their lives on the line and stand up to a king to fight for their freedom, to fight for their independence, to fight for full representation. And in doing so, they gave us a revolution that gave us the most fantastic country ever in world history. Today, we honor the brave militia who stood their ground. We remember all who lost their lives in this battle. And we recognize that this was a moment that shaped our destiny. We're here today because of all that transpired and because of the will and the courage of some folks who maybe weren't as trained or as armed as the force on the other side, but brought such guts and such courage and some clarity of vision, who they were and where they wanted to go for their family and their community. And that revolutionary spirit is woven into all of us. It's who we are as the Massachusetts people. It's in our DNA. It's in our DNA and woven deeply into the culture and all that we do, leading the way for freedom, leading the way for democracy, leading the way in education, in health, in science, in innovation, We continue to be a state of evolution and revolution, and that's a good thing. Today, as our nation experiences deep division, and too many people are concerned about and voicing uncertainty about the future of this great democracy, we just need to draw on this legacy and draw on this well of who we are, what brought us here, what gave us our freedoms, what made this country great, and just lean into all of that. We owe it to those who gave their lives here to uphold the ideals so that we had this nation upon which our founding beliefs are predicated and animated to this day. Wasn't it beautiful to see the kids, by the way, from Warren Prescott School come and sing the national anthem? That's 250 years later. See, it continues. These ideals must continue to guide us in our state and in our nation, in times of challenge, in times of change. We must stand together when times are rough. We must be determined to strengthen our bonds, to strengthen our democracy, to defend our liberty, and to inspire always the generations that come after us. I am so grateful and so privileged to be governor of a state where that is possible. I see it every day in the good works, in the goodwill, in the common humanity of so many. We need to embrace that, take a moment to reflect on that, and today we remember a battle and we remember so much more. We remember, Massachusetts, who we are as a nation. God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the great United States of America. And now we're going to have the privilege of welcoming forth special musical guests, the Apollo Club.
please welcome His Majesty's Consul General to New England, David Clay.
Good afternoon. On this important anniversary in the history of America, I'm truly honoured and moved to be invited to speak as the representative of the United Kingdom, your adversary on that day 250 years ago. But the invitation and also the wonderful flag garden with the American and UK flags side by side are both gestures entirely in keeping with the spirit of generosity and friendship towards the UK that I've been met with in Boston since my arrival here 10 months ago. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, honoured guests, 250 years ago, as colonial forces and British troops faced each other at Bunker Hill, few could have foreseen that from this painful conflict would emerge one of the world's most enduring and consequential alliances. At the time, this was not viewed as a conflict between Americans and Britons, but between fellow countrymen. Colonial patriots seeking their liberty faced those loyal to the crown across battlefields where the personal cost was deeply felt on both sides. Many colonial militia facing British regulars at Bunker Hill considered themselves British. They spoke the same language, shared family histories, and had fought together against common enemies in previous conflicts, like the French and Indian War. As we gather here today, the bitter division of that historic battle has transformed into one of history's most remarkable reconciliations. What began in bloodshed 250 years ago has evolved into an extraordinary alliance that has shaped the modern world. But the journey from adversaries to allies was not inevitable. It required generations of leaders and citizens on both sides to find common ground, rebuild trust, and discover that the values that once divided us, independence, self-determination, and liberty, could ultimately unite us in common purpose. As we reflect on the Battle of Bunker Hill here today, we acknowledge the sacrifice of those on both sides who fought with courage and conviction. We recognize that history is not simply about celebrating victories or lamenting defeats, but also understanding how even the most difficult chapters can lead to positive transformation. One lesson of Bunker Hill, and indeed the American Revolution, is that even the most painful separations can, with time and goodwill, evolve into relationships of extraordinary strength and mutual benefit. Today, our alliance isn't just about diplomatic convenience. It's embedded in security partnerships, trade relationships, and personal and family friendships across the Atlantic. This relationship provides a defensive backbone that strengthens global security and upholds the international order. And when crisis strikes anywhere in the world, Washington and London are still on the phone before anyone else. The path from conflict to cooperation was neither short nor straightforward. Yet today, as we mark this solemn anniversary, we can take pride, I think, in the special relationship our nations have forged. Thank you. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Commodore Roger Redwin, the Royal Navy's attaché in the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, fellow service members, friends, good afternoon. Today, as we commemorate the 250th anniversary of the Battle of Bunker Hill, we do indeed stand on hallowed ground that witnessed a pivotal moment in our shared history. This battle, fought on this day 250 years ago, marked one of the first major conflicts of the Revolutionary War, a time when our nation stood divided. Yet from this division has emerged one of the world's most enduring and consequential alliances. The story of British-American relations is one of remarkable transformation. As we gather here today, we honor not only those who fought with valor on both sides, but also celebrate the extraordinary journey that has brought us from the battlefield adversaries to indispensable allies, united by common values shared ambitions for a better world. Whilst this battle represented a point of division, today it symbolizes the extraordinary journey of our two nations have taken, from adversaries to the closest of allies. Our Marines, our sailors, stand shoulder to shoulder today. The courage displayed by both British and colonial forces on the 17th of June 1775 reflects the values we still share today: determination, bravery, and conviction. Though fighting on opposite sides then, these qualities now unite us in facing global challenges together. Now, as the Royal Naval Attaché to the United States of America, I'm particularly mindful of our shared maritime history. And it was pretty painful in 1812 when we lost the Super Bowl champs against the United States Navy. But from opposing fleets, our navies have evolved to operate as seamless partners, conducting joint operations, exercises, and technology development across the world's oceans. The same resolute spirit that drove both sides here in this battle now propels our joint maritime operations and counter-piracy missions to freedom of navigation operations. Today, the United Kingdom, the United States relationship represents one of the world's most comprehensive and successful partnerships. Defense cooperation, from NATO to intelligence sharing through the Five Eyes Alliance. Our defense partnership safeguards our global security and promotes stability worldwide. Our economic partnership, as each other's largest investors, with over $1 trillion in bilateral investments supporting millions of our jobs, our economies are deeply interconnected. Our political alignment, together we champion democracy, human rights, and the rule of international law across the globe. So looking forward, our maritime collaboration will be even more vital in addressing the emerging challenges, from protecting critical underwater infrastructure to ensuring freedom of navigation in contested waters. 250 years ago, British naval power projected onto these shores. Today, our combined naval capabilities protect global shipping lanes, humanitarian missions, and uphold the international rules-based system that benefits all nations. As we face an increasingly complex world, the lessons of history remind us that former adversaries can become the strongest of allies when united by common values and mutual respect. Ladies and gentlemen, as we honor those who fought 250 years ago, we also salute the servicemen and women of today, American and British, who carry forward the cause of liberty with courage, professionalism, and unity. So let this anniversary not only serve as a reflection on our past, but as a commitment to our shared future. Thank you.
Please welcome the United States Army Field Band. Please welcome Dan Noonan, Commander, American Legion, J.W. Conway, Bunker Hill Post 26.
Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, on this very special day, I'm honored to represent the American Legion and Veterans of Charlestown to introduce the Orator for the Battle of Bunker Hill's 250th commemoration. The J.W. Conway Bunker Hill Post has had a long-standing tradition of being part of the Battle of Bunker Hill Day commemoration, and I'm proud to continue the tradition of previous Charlestown American Legion leaders like James Conway and Arthur Hurley. Earlier this week, we honored the memory of General Joseph Warren with a Hero Square, and today we are honored by having a Charlestown native, Brigadier General Ralph Rizzo, Jr., United States Marine Corps, honor us as the Orator. When I was asked to introduce Brigadier General Rizzo, I struggled with what to say. I wasn't sure how to introduce him and do him justice. I knew of him, but I didn't actually know him. So I reached out to his friends and family and asked them for insight, and I learned quite a bit about the general. Needless to say, we all know he grew up in Charlestown. He's blessed with a very strong family. His phenomenal mother and father raised him right and taught him many lessons that would carry him through life. He's also blessed with a wonderful wife, Mila, and 3 great children, Mark, Nick, and Arlene. And as I can attest, you need a strong family to have a successful military career. He grew up in Charlestown in St. Catherine's Parish, was an altar boy at church, played sports, was a typical active kid in Charlestown. He went to Columbus High and was a member of the '84 state championship hockey team. And as we know, hockey is life here in Charlestown. He also won the Athlete of the Year at Columbus. His teammates described him as dedicated with a lot of perseverance. They told me some other stories, sir, but I can't share them right now. His sister Natalie told me he always wanted to be a state trooper. And after graduating from Western New England College, he worked as a police officer while trying to reach this goal. But lucky for us and the country, he took another path and enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. And subsequently, that was lucky for his sister Natalie too, because as she told me, his enlisting in the Marine Corps vaulted her into favorite child status with her mother, who originally wasn't too happy with the general joining as an enlisted Marine Corps. But eventually his mother came around. One thing that stuck out most when I spoke to his sister was how she described her brother's feelings toward Charlestown. He always remembers his past and being from here. Still to this day, when asked where he is from, he says Charlestown. Not Boston, not Massachusetts, sorry. As many of us know, Charlestown is not just a town in Boston, it's a way of life. You learn early on how close the community is and how that you're always welcome. Your friends are for life. The lessons you learn here, the edge you develop from growing up here, and the little things you take for granted like sports competitiveness all help you in life and your career. Strong family, perseverance, dedication, and life lessons from Charlestown. It seems like all of this helped Ralph Rizzo, who the general told me I have to call him Ralph now, grow up here and key to becoming a squared away Marine. But alas, I did find out what the true secret to his success was. His Aunt Mary told me to make sure I tell Ralph all his true success is due to Auntie Mary. Brigadier General Rizzo has served in the United States Marine Corps for 36 years. He started his career in 1989 as an enlisted Marine. After achieving the rank of sergeant, he was accepted to the enlisted commissioning program in 1994 and began his Marine Corps officer career. He is a graduate of the basic school with honors, the Infantry Officers Course, Logistics Officers Course, U.S. Naval War College with honors, Marine Corps War College, and High Command and Staff course at the United Kingdom Defense Academy. He's been a platoon leader, an executive officer, a weapons company commander, and a company commander. He served in Operation Iraqi Freedom, as well as Operation Enduring Freedom in multiple capacity. He has served in many roles at numerous Marine Corps installations until assuming his current assignment of commander, MCI East, MCB Camp Lejeune, in May 2024. Following U.S. Senate approval, he was promoted to his current rank of Brigadier General on January 13, 2025, making him the making him the 10th Commanding General of MCI East, MCB Camp Lejeune. Please join me in welcoming home today's orator, Charlestown's own Brigadier General Ralph Rizzo, United States Navy.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, folks. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, folks. It's truly an honor to be here as a native son of Charlestown. Today, as I stand here, I experience two firsts, all at the same time. As of the 20th, I will start my 36th year in the United States Marine Corps, and I've spoken at many events, but I've never followed a governor, a mayor, a state representative, a consul general, a senior commodore in the British Navy, a tribal official, a renowned author, a poet laureate. So there is no pressure, folks. I'll be fine. The second first, Madam Mayor, I've spoken at many events in my years, and I've never once put anyone to sleep before I started speaking, except your beautiful baby. So those are my two firsts. But I noticed she did wake up for the U.S. Army Field Band, but I'll do my best not to put her to sleep again when I start. Folks, before I get started, I do want to offer another round of applause for two special groups here today. The Constitution and their color guard. Commander, your sailors look superb. Well done. and our U.S. Army Field Band from the world's greatest army. No offense to our allies and partners. Folks, to our senior elected officials and DVs already on the stage, honors are deferred to those already rendered. Most importantly, for those folks here today in uniform and those who have worn the cloth of this great nation, our veterans, I want to thank you for coming today and honoring us. Thank you. To our veterans and service members among us today who have served under our nation's flag, at home in peacetime and across many a foreign shore, on battlefields whose names have long been forgotten by all but those who fought and bled there. Thank you for joining us. For the three organizations who brought this to light for us, having come together with the goal of hosting a 250th commemorative event that invites people to remember and reflect on the motivations and enduring legacies of those who fought on June 17, 1775. The belief is that by connecting the nation's past with its present, the monument inspires each of us to consider our personal role and responsibility in shaping the future of this great nation. It's an honor and a privilege to stand here on this hallowed ground in the heart of Charlestown, where I was blessed to be born and raised. The place where echoes of our nation's birth still ring as loud and clear as that shot heard round the world did that faithful day. Some may remember, and it is not lost on me, that my mother, Eleanor, was one of the speakers at this very event in 2003 when I was in Iraq during the invasion. She said in a letter before I had deployed, she admired me, and I quote, "for being able to put down your rake, your car keys, and your children, and to do for others what they could not or would not do for themselves." When really it is I who admire her, as I was so very proud of her for speaking and representing all of us in uniform that day who had deployed. And I just hope not to let her down today. Today, we gather not just to remember the Battle of Bunker Hill, but to remind ourselves why it matters. On June 17, 1775, ordinary men, farmers, blacksmiths, and tradesmen put down their rakes and their children and picked up their muskets and stood against one of the most formidable armies in the world, and now our staunchest allies. So as the Consul General said, and my friend the Commodore, I've worn this nation's uniform for 35 years, gentlemen, and I've not been on a battlefield without you by my side, so thank you. But those farmers, those blacksmiths, and those tradesmen fought not for conquest, not for glory, but for an idea that freedom is worth fighting for, that self-governance, liberty, and dignity are not granted by kings, but earned by patriots. As our third president and author of the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson, said, "The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants alike," and they stood this ground 250 years ago. Our founding fathers and all those who fought on this ground understood that freedom is never free, and it must be protected at all costs for our children's children. For it is never more than one generation away from extinction. It's not passed in the bloodstream. It must be fought for and handed on for them to do the same. They stood shoulder to shoulder on these very slopes, outnumbered and outgunned, yet they held the line. They made the adversary pay dearly for every inch of ground. And though technically a British victory, the courage and determination shown by the American forces made it clear this new nation would not go quietly. We would rise, and we have risen. "250 years later, we're still rising. We're striving to be that beacon you speak of, Dan. Striving to be what our founding fathers envisioned when they signed their names to the Declaration of Independence and started this experiment in democracy. As a son of Charlestown, I know firsthand how deep the roots of service run in this community. From the hills of Breeds and Bunker to the sands of Iwo Jima, to the jungles of Vietnam and the deserts of Iraq and Afghanistan, Charlestown has always answered the call. The spirit of those who fought in 1775 lives on today in every soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine who continue to wear the cloth of this nation." Exactly. I've worn this nation's uniform for over 3 decades now, and I've stood beside warriors from every corner of America, young men and women who, like those who fought on these hills in 1775, didn't hesitate when the moment came to move to the sound of the guns and into the belly of the beast. I've witnessed firsthand my Marines do amazing things on the battlefield. Not for country, not for the Constitution, not for mom or apple pie, but for the Marine to their right and their left, because the fear of letting them down was worse than what awaited them when they came out. As a Marine, I've had the privilege of leading some of the finest warriors our nation has to offer. During Operation Enduring Freedom 11 TAC 2, I had the honor and privilege of commanding Combat Logistics Battalion 6 as Red Cloud 6, their commanding officer. When we operated throughout the rugged, unforgiving terrain of Northern Helmand Province, Afghanistan in 2010 to 2011, CLB-6 was tasked with the harshest of missions, sustaining the fight in the push-up Route Red in the Kajaki Dam area, key terrain sought by both sides who would bleed dearly for it. Moving vital supplies and equipment and fuel through some of the most dangerous and contested terrain in the country, at the time known as the most dangerous roads in the world. Our convoys pushed into places like Sangin, Musa Kela, and Nowzad, towns you'd likely never heard of before, but names you will never forget once you've watched your Marines fearlessly roll into them, knowing what waits down the road could change everything. But like our Marines, the patriots who stood firm on Breeds Hill in 1775 held fast, day after day, mission after mission, under fire and under pressure. They answered the call. They stood the ground. They didn't ask for credit. They didn't flinch. They just did the job. Quiet professionals serving a cause greater than themselves. What I saw in places like Iraq, Somalia, and Northern Helmand Province was the same spirit our forebears showed here in Charlestown 250 years ago. It wasn't about flags or speeches. It was about grit, brotherhood, honor, and duty. It was about holding the line, no matter what came at you, no matter what they threw your way. Your boots did not move backwards 1 inch. That spirit is the thread that runs straight from Breeds Hill through every generation that has defended our freedom on the battlefields of the world, as they still do it today. But remembering isn't enough. We must live up to their example. We must be a nation worthy of their sacrifice. That means honoring not just the memory of the fallen, but also the needs of the living, supporting our veterans, standing by our Gold Star families. Yes. Teaching the next generation not just the facts of history, but the values that shape it, the examples of courage, resiliency, grit, and unity in the face of adversity. Let us also remember that the American Revolution was never meant to be a moment. It was always meant to be a movement toward a more perfect union. That work continues, and it calls to each of us today and every day to serve its cause. From those who serve in the police stations and the firehouses, to those who volunteer on the football fields and in the hockey rinks, who show every day through their actions what service to others truly looks like. So today, as we look up at the monument that pierces the sky behind me, let us not see it only as a stone obelisk, but as a promise that we will never forget where we come from, and that we will never stop striving to be worthy of the legacy forged here in the blood of farmers, blacksmiths, and everyday citizens. Thank you for being here. Thank you for remembering. And thank you for continuing the fight, not just for freedom, but for the ideals that define us as Americans. God bless Charlestown. God bless our armed forces. God bless the United States. Semper Fidelis.
Please welcome back to the stage Chaplain Barnett and performer Tori Tori for our benediction.
Let us stand as we bow our heads. Almighty and everlasting God, as we draw near the close of this reflective remembrance, we stand on this ground, this higher ground where liberty was defamed and where sacrifice took root so that freedom could blossom. May the spirit of those who fought here awaken in us an unwavering resolve to stand for what is right and stand for what is true. May this hallowed hill remind us that place holds power. Power to call out courage, power to inspire hope, and power to summon summons us into action. Bind us together as we the people, join in purpose to lift our communities, to protect our freedoms, and to rise hand in hand toward a future worthy of those who came before us. And now, as we prepare our hearts and voices, may our next song rise not just as a melody, but as a living promise, a pledge that we stand ready to build, ready to heal, and ready to lift every voice together. Let us now, together, as an awesome anthem, as a collective community choir, voices of revolutionary progress, let us lift every voice and sing. Ladies and gentlemen, Tori, Tori.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven rings with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
As the echoes of our song linger along in the air, Lord, seal this moment in our hearts. May the courage remembered here today, like gas in a car, fuel our actions. Like helium in a balloon, lift our spirits and ignite our purpose like fireworks bursting on the 4th of July, shining bright for all to see. Yes, now, propel us forward to be peacemakers, bridge builders, and torch bearers of hope and unity. Guide our steps, guard our hearts, and grant us boldness to stand fierce, stand firm, and stand faithful in our time just as they did here. And as we step away from this hill into our daily lives, may the 3 pillars we celebrate today, we the people, the power of place, and the call to action resonate within us and amplify through us in our every word and our every deed. God bless us and God bless the United States of America.
As we near the end of today's remembrance ceremony, we invite you to turn your attention to your right, where the Sons of the American Revolution, the Charlestown Militia, and the Aleppo Shriners Minutemen will sound 3 ceremonial volleys. Following the musket fire, Buglers James Normington and Master Sergeant Robert Bean will perform the last post and taps, followed by a moment of silence. On behalf of the National Parks of Boston, I want to once again thank our speakers, our partners, and distinguished guests, and all of you that have joined us here today for this very special occasion. By being here, you have become a part of the 250-year history of this sacred site in our national story. Thank you.